We're going to continue our study, our systematic study of the Acts of the Apostles, and we're going to begin at the 22nd verse of the 15th chapter, where we read this. Then the apostles and the elders and the whole church decided to choose some of their own men and send them to Antioch and with Paul and Barnabas. They chose Judas, called Barsabbas, and Silas, men who were leaders among the believers. It's an important point. With them, they sent the following letter. Isn't it interesting that when we read the text, I mean, that's why I just love the way we approach our messaging, is that, this was a real letter to real people with real issues. And so we're peeping in 2 millennia ago, and this is what they wrote. The apostles and the elders, your brothers, to the Gentile believers in Antioch, Syria and Cilicia, greetings. We have heard that some went out from us without our authorization and disturbed you, troubling your minds by what they said. So we all agreed to choose some men and send them to you with our dear friends Barnabas and Paul, men who have risked their lives for the name of our Lord Jesus Christ. Therefore, we are sending Judas and Silas to confirm by word of mouth what we are writing. It seemed good to the Holy Spirit and to us not to burden you with anything beyond the following requirements. You are to abstain from food sacrificed to idols, from blood, from the meat of strangled animals, and from sexual immorality. You will do well to avoid these things. If you've been following along, you know that Paul and Barnabas had been on a missionary journey. And along the way, their message of salvation by grace was interrupted. Gosh, I don't want to give the interrupters, credit where credit's not due, but either being used of the evil one or just plain ignorance, the result is the same. They were also ostensibly converted Jews. But what they surmised or put forward, posited, is that, this rabbi, Jesus the Christ, we're down with him. But you got to do some other things too. You cannot just totally disregard thousands of years of relationship that's been established, and the Torah and everything that we've had. You're gonna tell me now all of a sudden none of that counts? You don't have to be circumcised. And again, ladies, don't say, well, it ain't got nothing to do with me. It's like that's the circumcision is just the stand-in for all the rest of the Levitical law. That's all it is. It's just don't get caught. Yeah, that's an obvious and visible sign. And in that culture at that time, the men were large and in charge, if you will. But that was just the stand-in for the Levitical law. So we ought not look at them and say, oh boy, how could you have gotten it so wrong? I can ask the same question today. How did we get it so wrong? Well, Pastor, we don't do that. I say, we understand that grace is grace, but there seems to be this constant tension or battle of perspective that pops its head up every now and then, that you have more than one person, and sometimes we can battle with our own selves, that you have to do a little bit more. You can't, it's too simplistic. It cannot just be that I rest in the grace, the completed salvific work of Jesus Christ. There's gotta be more than that. There's come on now. You've got to give me the secret handshake. Give me the do's and the don'ts. Give me all of that. And then you have another group that might say, will take that as license, that liberty as license, and say, well, I have the freedom to do whatever I want, whenever I want to do it. Don't you judge me. So you've got this tension of, well, you have to do something more, and you have this other group that says, I can do anything I want. So what are we to do? As I like to say, do not lose track of the main things by burying your nose on the backside of a tree, and you miss the whole point of the forest. See, these things and issues that even if we weren't raised by Jews, and yes, you had to be a part of that time and that space and that culture to really fully appreciate, which we fully can't not do, but you've got to appreciate the degree that there has been this, I don't care if it's a day, a few months, a few years, there's this abrupt change in perspective and behavior that, no, you've missed the whole point. The point wasn't for you to worship the law. The point was that the law would become an arrow, a marker, a directional compass to point you to the true one holy God. Well, yeah, we're sinners is what we are. And if we're not careful, we will fall into that trap of worshiping the thing instead of the giver of the thing. We'll worship, oh man, okay. You've seen those covenant of faiths that often adorn the wall of certain buildings, religious buildings. And if we're not careful, that becomes, yeah, I believe that. I believe that. And the whole idea is not, well, yeah, that's nice, and I do this. And we, as a 501c3 religious organization, we have a preamble. We have a statement. We have that covenant of faith. But we won't post that here, because all that does is it's an attempt at articulating the relationship that we're trying to share on the daily, not on the hourly, with one another. What's the covenant? Love God, love others. Love God, love others. Again, I'll double down on what I said before. Unless and until we get the relationship with God right, we cannot love. We'll tolerate one another, but we won't love one another. And I know we'll knit and nuance and say, well, I love you, but I don't like you. We'll play games like that. It's like, well, I just don't like you, but I gotta love you. I don't understand that. God said again and again, there's coming a day that I'm going to write the law on the heart of my people. You won't have to worry about the Levitical law, circumcision, eating meat sacrificed to idols, drinking blood, eating the blood soup, and all of those things. I'm going to put my heart in you. I'm going to give you the capacity to love the things that I love, to weep over the things that I weep over, to be concerned about the things that I'm concerned about. Not religious stuff, but God's stuff. So again, if you're interested in finding, diving deeper, and if you think I don't know what I'm talking about, Deuteronomy 11:8, Proverbs 3:3, Proverbs 6:21, Proverbs 7:3, Jeremiah 31:33, Ezekiel 36:26. God, he didn't sneak stuff in. He said if you were looking for it, it was there from the beginning. It's the law. All that is a marker, a guidepost, a directional pointer to get you to me. And if you're going to get to that destination of me, You got to know where you're going. All roads don't lead to God. That's what the world will tell you. It's like, well, there are many paths to. It's like, I'm sorry. I'm sorry. It's just like, no. Jesus is very clear. He doesn't say, well, you can pick my way, but you can pick way too. He's like, no, I am the way. I am the truth. I am the life. Nobody comes to the Father but through me. It stands to reason. I'll say it again. If my heart is aligned with the Father, our collective hearts will be on one accord. I said this, I forget exactly where, been speaking in a couple of places of late, but can't give quite proper attribution. But I was saying something to the effect, and you could share this with a married, not necessarily, the couples class. You want a boo or a spouse that loves God more than they love you. I know you don't, no, wait a minute. It's like, you want a boo or a spouse that loves God more than you. You guys, you still ain't, you ain't with me. You love it, thank you, Deacon. It's a heart thing. It's a heart thing. It's a heart. You want someone that is like, I love you, honey, with everything that's within me. But if God said, well, I don't say doing Isaac, Abraham and Isaac, but well, like I said, let's just be honest. It's like, wait a minute. It's like there is not one person in here, if God spoke to your heart right now, I want you to sacrifice your child. No. That just shows you the degree of gap, if you will, that still remains in us. And that's why Mark's name isn't written in the roll call of faith in Hebrews. See? But Abraham's was, because I was willing to sacrifice everything, including my son. If God gave me my son, he can raise him from the dead. That's what he believed. That's incredible faith. That is incredible faith. So again, you want someone, we want to be in that space where who we are with, who we love, who we worship with, we love God with all of our heart, soul, and mind, more than we love on the horizontal. Because if we do that, then what is given out on the horizontal, it's going to be of God, and it's going to be love that's far beyond what we can muster up on ourselves. I love my wife. I love my wife with everything in me, but it doesn't compare to the love God has for her. It only makes sense that it would be that it's like, I'm going to put my heart in you so you could love me. When you think about it, it's just like, it is like really crazy stupid it's like, okay, I'm not going to expect you to do something you can't do, but I'm going to give you my heart so you can heart back to me, and you can heart back on the horizontal. But again, if we're not careful, we'll get into that, dare I say, Levitical swim lane, and it's just like, okay, and so every dude, but every guy has fallen into that trap. It's like flowers and dinner and Barry White and everything, and it's just like we do everything to show how much I love her. And it's like, brothers, women can sniff out a fake a mile off. And it's just like, no. It's like, keep your flowers, keep your smooth talk, keep all of that. See, and literally that is what God had said to the cult. He said, keep your flowers, keep your songs, keep all your smooth talk. It's like your lips praise me, but your hearts are far from me. It's like, you talk a good game, but I'm going to give you my heart. Here's the deal. I'm going to give you my heart. And then you will have a heart for me, and that will just overflow into every other area. See, God was putting down the predicate, the foundation for what he desires for eternity. For eternity. In his first letter to this, see, that's why as you read and we've gone through Paul's first letter to the Corinthian church. It's just kind of, it's on podcast, so you can go find them and pull up those sermon series. But if you read Paul's letters, he doesn't then repeat to the church at Corinth or Galatia or Ephesus or whoever and say, okay, now remember, don't drink blood. Don't eat food, meat. It's like even that. I mean, we see what the elders of the church they were attempting to do. They were trying to strike a balance and trying to get people on the same page. But look at what Paul wrote to the church of Corinth. If what I eat causes my brother or sister to fall into sin, I will never eat meat again so that I will not cause them to fall. What kind of response, how does a person respond like this? How does a person respond like this? See, you got a problem with turkey legs? I don't have a problem with turkey legs. I'm going to eat all the turkey legs. How do you like that? What kind of heart comes? Where's that coming from? Where you're going to take your liberty and shove it in the face of your neighbor and like, this is what I get. Hey, you're an immature Christian. I am so sorry for you. That's not from a place of love. And that's where this whole 15th chapter, don't get caught up in looking on the backside of trees, look at the forest. That's what God is saying through the first century church to themselves at the time and to us in 2024. So if we have a heart for God, we'll have a heart for others. And Paul writes later in that same letter in the 10th chapter, so whether you eat or drink, whatever you do, do it all for the glory of God. Do not cause anyone to stumble, whether Jews, Greeks, black, white, city mouse, country mouse. No, I know it doesn't say that. He's saying whoever you are. Even as I try to please everyone in every way, for I am not seeking my own good, but the good of many, so that they may be saved. Whatever you eat, drink, party, whatever you do it for the glory of God. Our actions have to be driven by not because I can, but what brings glory and honor to God. And that cuts both ways. It can cut on the religious zealousness side, and it can cut on the libertine side, if you will. What is the motivation? Why do you do what you do? Oh, I want to be seen. I want all eyes on me. It's like, no, I want all the glory and honor to go to God. Are we really certain? Are we really certain that our actions are driven by the desire that none are lost, as Paul would later write, but all come to an understanding of and relationship with God? I'm closing. Okay, so the church elders met. They discussed the issue. They reached consensus intended to give liberty and peace to both the Gentiles and the Jews. And they sent two others along with them, prophets, Judas and Silas, to affirm the teaching of Paul and Barnabas. Verse 30. So the men were sent off and went down to Antioch, where they gathered the church and together delivered the letter. The people read it and were glad for its encouraging message. Judas and Silas, who themselves were prophets, said much to encourage and strengthen the believers. After spending some time there, they were sent off by the believers with a blessing of peace to return to those who had sent them. But Paul and Barnabas remained in Antioch, where they and many others taught and preached the word of the Lord. What an incredible, again, I shared 2 weeks ago that this was a necessary discussion. Heated, I don't know, I wasn't there. But it was a necessary discussion as we left what was to what now is. That could preach for weeks on so many levels, religiously and non-religiously, leaving what was to what now is. And it's our human nature to hold on what we're comfortable with and what we have known to do. Couples class again. Many relationships are unsuccessful because of an unwillingness to leave what was. And you try and take what was and fit it into what could be. I know I'm right. I know I'm right. Well, I'm accustomed to this. This is how things used to be. Well, see, you're not ready for that relationship because you're holding on to what was. Ghost of Christmas past, if you will. So what's the takeaway? Having a better understanding of kosher laws? No. As Paul wrote in the 9th chapter of his first letter to the church at Corinth, I've become all things to all people, that by all possible means I might save some. As I shared, I joke but don't joke. I care too much about pumpkins and horseback rides and all that. That's wonderful. I can't even qualify for the weight. There's a weight limit on the horses, so I know I don't qualify. Poor little horse would be a poor little horse, yeah. Those are nice, but I don't care about that. What I care about is those that would be attracted by the pumpkins and the horseback rides and the bouncy houses and the game trucks and the food trucks and all of that. If that's a magnet for you, then that's fine. That's wonderful. That gives me an opportunity to let you smell our cologne. As I shared before, I share now. It's running that gauntlet at the Macy's perfume counter, that as you go through there, you will take on that aroma, whether you want to or not. It's like, man, I'm smelling like Chanel. I'm smelling like Sauvage or whatever, And you take that with you even as you go down to the food court on the second floor. You're still smelling that. And if we do that with enough frequency, you don't know what might happen. You might even get Aaron Anderson with Purple Pig Eats that came to us through a harvest-type festival, and now he's the Easter Bunny. See, we have to have an elevated view of what we do. What we do. This is just not, again, I'm not inviting the praise team to sing off key. I'm not. But it's not about singing on key. That's not the objective. The objective is to become all things to all people, that by some possible chance, we might just hit a chord just right, that it resonates, or sing a song that's just right, That as you minister at the Sacramento Mental Health, that you say something that you think is going over the heads of the folks, and you just say just that one word, and that clicks, and it's just like, that's it. If we have that view of having that heart for God, see, that's why, again, this is obviously my book is closed, so it's no script. It's dangerous. But I'll say it again, I've said it before. God loved Jeffrey Dahmer as much as he loves me. Oh, he ate people. Let's not call the roll. Don't look in my closet, I won't look in yours. Well, I didn't eat anybody. Well, let's, you're guilty of one, you're guilty of them all. No, it can't be. Yes, that's what the Levitical law was all about. This is God, this is everybody else. Any questions? But what I want to do is I'm gonna come down. You can't come up here. I'm gonna come down here. And I'm gonna dwell among you. I'm gonna be among you. I'm gonna suffer like you. I'm gonna die for you. Even when we were yet sinners, Christ died for us. Who wouldn't serve a God like that? Once we get his heart in our heart, we'll do anything. We'll scrub the floor, we'll do whatever, we'll get bouncy houses, we'll do whatever, because it's not about any of those things. It's not about any of those things. It's about him. How can I bring you glory, honor, and praise in whatever capacity I can do?